in any case, we are jumping into game 2. Of course, it was nice hearing from Jojo, and he kind of confirmed our suspicions, which Rogue caught them by surprise.
Yeah.
I think that their expectations coming into this game was that it would be easier than it was, and then they were, I would say, pleasantly surprised by how active Trick and Malrang were on the map. So I imagine they'll readjust their expectations. We'll see how the draft unfolds moving into game 2. Rogue remain on the blue side. The Nidalee once again going to be taken away alongside the Gwen. And so now what does the priority pick become? Azir immediately jumps to mind. Potentially even a Maokai if they want a little bit more teamfight value. Yeah, Azir, maybe even Varus. Varus actually left open this time around. Perhaps Patrik wants to prioritize that on the bot side.
And the Nico banned. They're not going to let the Nico come through. Sorry, Analyst Desk. No Nico this game. Again, everyone taking their sweet time in this draft. I think let's get first pick Azir.
I mean, for Larssen.
For Larssen, the Emperor.
I mean, it's open. They're going to take away the Jhin. So I imagine it'll just be first pick Azir.
Oh, Ezreal's a good shout. Varus instead.
Yeah, thought so. I just think Varus objectively makes the most sense. It has, well, just one of the best lanes. Honestly, it's a champion I'm surprised that Riot hasn't nerfed more. Because at a certain point they sit there and go, you've been too strong for too long, nerfy nerf.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, they go through cycles. Maybe they finally found the perfect balance where he's just good enough in pro play, but not completely broken in solo queue or useless, i.e. the Sejuani problem, where she's so good in pro and so completely terrible in solo queue. Although there's a quick Rumble lock-in. Myrwn busting that one out. And Azir now locked in as well. So double AP, we're going to need some AD coming in from the jungle from MKOI. And the question is, does Adam play Varus top lane?
Ooh, great question.
Because that was for probably 2 weeks.
Yep.
Maybe even just 2 games or 2 series. The counter pick. And then essentially we just never saw it again. Because I think mostly because Rumble was perma, but...
Also, just Varus is a very common ban.
Yeah.
Also, he's a very good ADC.
So is Rumble. So yeah, it's... But in my head, it's exclusively for that matchup.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Now the Aurora.
That's going to be Adam's response into the Rumble top. We've seen it a few times from him in this split. It just gives you a nice bit of range. You can also trade really effectively against the Rumble, and as long as you don't get hit by any harpoons, generally you're fine in the matchup. And to round things out, Naafiri jungle. Nice to see more of this champ. Personally, I'm like very lukewarm on the champ. I know objectively it should be a really OP pick, but often I find that the Naafiri itself isn't doing a lot.
I was really hyped for it until it didn't get a pentakill yesterday. I don't know whose fault that is, but I was really thinking that if this gets a pentakill right now, I'll be on the hype train, and then someone stole that last kill away.
I do remember that.
I mean, I think with Rumble it's really nice though, because if Naafiri's ever on top of someone and then the Rumble all comes down, it just feels like there's actually no getting away from that champion.
That's fair.
But we'll see what the early jungle looks like. Still expect Trick to be very aggressive, even without the Pantheon. Zen can replicate that. But now it's the Ezreal banned away, as well as the Leona.
So bot side of the map is very much the priority. Poppy going to come in from KOI. What does this mean that they're thinking of, though?
What other junglers are also played support? It's not... It sounds like a meme, but I just genuinely...
Jarvan has played support.
Jarvan has been played support. I'm just actually thinking, because Rel did make sense. Rel was in the jungle for so long last year, and I don't think that engaged supports are the most complicated champions to play, but I do imagine there is some degree of comfort that can be achieved for Malrang.
Jarvan. I mean, Jarvan was really OP for a while. Remember the Aerie build?
I do.
But I think, like, Renata's really good into stuff like that. I will say, KOI's engage, not the best.
No.
Like, they have no actual kind of start fight buttons. They can use Rumble Ultimate, of course, but it doesn't really lock people down. They don't have the easiest tools to start a fight, and I think the best thing to actually draft into this is more range yourself. Things like Karma, Orianna, I think actually make a lot of sense, just because you can kind of try and chip away at your opponents before you actually force an engage.
Yeah. I do worry about the getting over-eager on the Aurora, Orianna engage combo and just the counter engage from the Azir, Renata Rumble being too much.
Ooh, you know,
this is an AP heavy
Soraka could also be dope.
Just a little Trimby shout out.
Yeah, it would be cool, right?
Would be cool.
It's gonna be Karma though.
Malrang Karma.
Malrang Karma.
2025.
He looks excited about it. And Supa's Kalista. Okay, that's a pretty strong bot lane 2 versus 2. There will be a range advantage though for Patrik and Malrang, so I think in the straight up 2v2 they have ways to trade. I like seeing the smile on Trick's face, getting to play Xin. Super aggressive early game jungler. I think it pairs nicely with Orianna just because he wants mid laners that can facilitate him. And so he's a ball delivery system, knock someone up, get a nice shockwave, can quickly one-shot a target. We've seen it many times into champs like Kalista specifically and kind of not giving her an opportunity to leverage her mobility.
Definitely have. For Rogue, a very interesting composition. You highlighted before, MKOI lacking a certain amount of reliable engage. You will get a Kalista ult as you go later in the game, but even that, not always the best. Early game is a big question though. I think anytime we see a bot lane potentially as explosive as this one, any kind of Kalista lane into
I'm a little worried about how slow this game might end up being, just because when you've got Renata versus Karma, like, Zin's not going to have an easy time finding engages, because there's like a Renata ultimate always there to just...
That was my thing about your point about like, oh, I like that you can poke them down at range. I was like, yeah, but like, they've kind of the two compositions that want to be at arm's length from each other, I feel like Rogue have the one that kind of needs to go in. I guess Varus has more range. I guess Varus is kind of the difference maker.
Yeah, because Varus can just build poke, right? Kalista's just kind of awkwardly standing there, waiting for you to start a fight. I mean, yeah, it's a no-engage draft. We'll see what happens.
No engage, all thrills. LEC 2025 Spring, potentially the final game of the season. Can Rogue fire back, bring us to an unexpected Game 3? Get Trick's win rate to 50-50. The 100% win rate dream might be dead, but the stacking bot getting a kill at level 1 dream is alive and well.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Okay.
I'm enjoying the sounds of the rift.
Yeah, as am I.
I imagine this is what football commentators do when they just say names out loud.
Yeah, football commentary is a... Traditional sports commentary is a very different beast, I've learned.
Oh, yeah.
When we joined, one of the head honchos at Riot gave me this book, and he told me to read it about sports commentary. And it just said, basically said, just like, don't talk, the action will cut, like the action will speak for itself. I'm like, that is the exact opposite of League of Legends. It's like League of Legends has basically 10 balls on the map at a
But you know what?
time.
Larssen's playing Orianna, so now we get to say...
One ball, we own Larssen.
Larssen with the ball. Keeping it to himself.
Taking a mid.
It's a team game, Larssen. You got to pass the ball.
Larssen
Can't score.
Larssen passed the ball.
To Jojo. Why
Jojo! Listen, you have to get in the goal. Okay, they're trying to stop Trick from jungling. So far, they're successful.
That is uncool, guys.
Late invade.
Oh, Malrang with the flank.
Trick over the wall. Malrang off to the side. After he's already taken away. Level 2 for Elyoya. Patrik with Halo Blades. Malrang's going to flash over this wall. No, he's just going to run in and heal because Supa is getting lower. Now he'll flash out. Alvaro continuing to...
All the summoner spells gone now for Malrang. Alvaro is now in a very awkward spot.
He is still here. Trick trying to race to level 2.
He flashed.
Malrang locked up. Committed. Alvaro flashing in as well. Malrang in trouble. Flash in to get first blood. Now Patrik trying to follow up, but he doesn't just have the damage even with the Halo Blades. There's no blight stacks. The level 1, not enough. But Trick's still going. Elyoya trying to dash away. Trick desperately running forward. They're just dancing away from him. Supa continuing to go and win. Becomes lightning. Supa goes down. Patrik up for an extra second. He gets the additional gold influx coming in. Now Trick wants to keep it going. Decent damage, but the dogs are starting to hurt. Both sides will back away. 1 for 1.
It's just a brawl in the bot lane. I mean, Elyoya starts off by stealing away the Raptors, getting level 2, and then the team say all bets are off. I mean, it's just a fight for survival down here. Ultimately, I guess Patrik is the big winner because he gets to stick around, get a bit of farm, goes back to base, grabs a tier. And this wave is being frozen by Malrang as best as he can. He's not really that scared of Alvaro.
Yeah. When did this become the best series we've cast the entire year?
Okay, it's not. I mean, it's a pretty crazy one to start things off for sure.
Oh, we did go to first stand. Okay, so best series I've cast this week though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I cast CFO versus Top Esports.
True. Yeah. All right, fair call out.
In any case, 1-1, gold is dead even. And you wouldn't have expected that given how the game started, but yep, that's where we're at. Both AD carries at 8 CS. I do not think that they're going to be able to keep up with that whole 10 CS per minute thing.
They might be able to recover in due time. Trick a little behind the XP because that initial stolen camp, but keeping relatively even with Elyoya. And after that goofy level 1, I think things are just going to generally slow down a little.
Great.
It was.
That is an apt description of what that level 1 was.
Again, this whole I think goofy is just today for us. It's kind of just. There are unspoken rules in League of Legends, and sometimes you just forget they exist. Like, why would you fist fight level 1 for no reason? Why wouldn't you just go to lane? And it's like, well, if the guy's on top of me, I kind of have to fist fight to get to lane. And that situation just doesn't occur.
I mean, the point at which I would say they could have stopped was when Elyoya flashed after Malrang.
Yeah.
Yes, they got the kill. They did have to spend 3 flashes at level 1 to get it.
Which, they had to send a message.
Which, you know, ended up giving Patrik a kill back, which I guess you could argue was worth, but either way, both AD carries are actually dead even on experience. They're pretty much even on farm. The gold is slightly in favor of Patrik just because he did end up with a kill.
Yeah, also, I mean, 300 gold on.
And Alvaro got the kill, so I guess overall, Rogue are the winners.
Well, Patrik now needs to back up. But again, there's no CC here.
Nope.
So the engage from Elyoya does just get a chunk, which will matter in an extended laning phase, but no real kill threat.
Yeah, that's why this game is going to be interesting. So, what that bot lane skirmish was a great representation of is the rest of this game. Because when you just don't have a lot of hard CC, and people just run around you, like it's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, you just gotta walk at them menacing, which as you can see, does not result in a lot of kill pressure.
But Trick has the scariest engage in the whole game, of course, just because he has that. He can build up the stacks on his Q, then the 3rd stack, E in, get the instant knock-up, Shockwave can come through.
Also, I mean, level 6. We haven't seen. Also, you don't see as many opportunities for good handshakes when Renata isn't against a opposing like melee support, but still room for some handshakes in lane.
Yeah, this is why this matchup can be quite tough, as you can see, just decent amount of poke coming out from the Karma. And Patrik with range of his own means he can chip away at the HP bars of the lane opponents. But for now, we enter a state of bliss as both sides just prioritize on farming.
And Larssen once again does have the ball. Keeps passing it to Jojo though, which again, not a conventional strat in the game.
Typical. What's even more surprising is that Jojo keeps passing it back.
Yeah.
Oh, pass it to Jojo one more time.
Well, I think Larssen's telekinetically controlling the ball,
Larssen.
which does seem like it would be against the rules. He's also touching it, I think. Larssen is not very good at football.
No, not at all. That's okay. Try rugby.
Rugby, there you go. They were definitely trying to play rugby at level 1.
Sort of something mean. I'm happy about it.
No, mean. This is a wholesome, spirited game of League of Legends.
You say that. KOI is up to something.
Trick. Now in trouble. Going in, a few more autos, gets a decent amount of damage. That's a Shockwave. Jojopyun in trouble now. Trick manages to flash out. Jojopyun relatively low, has the buff on him. Holding on for the bailout. One more auto, a little bit more healing coming in. They can't finish the kill, and now it's Elyoya getting away. The handshake is beautiful. Blinking health bars. They just can't get anything done. Larssen cannot finish a kill. MKOI on the edge, but they get the kill on Trick.
Damn, that was very well played by Jojo. And Alvaro coming in clutch with the shielding to help escort his team to safety. Larssen was just a single flash Q away from picking up one of those kills, but the shielding kept coming through onto Jojo, meaning that he was just out of kill range. And you'll see here, it looks like an easy pickup onto Jojo. The Shockwave is going to come through. The damage is good from Trick. He's going to get the shields. And there's the Shockwave. The damage looks nice. But look, he has the Renata passive on, and so Larssen is hesitant to kill him. One more auto attack, but then he gets a bit of life back from leveling up. The shield is there as well, and Elyoya knows that if a flash comes through from Larssen, it can be a kill, so he flashes preemptively to get away to safety.
Heal from Alvaro as well. Literally every tiny thing that could come through came through, just to make sure that kill did not go down.
Beautiful stuff there from Jojo and the squad.
And while the gold is still dead even overall, it's Patrik continuing to grow his lead just as a result of his power in the 1v1 when Alvaro left, and Elyoya now pulling even further ahead of Trick. Oh, also Adam on the top side.
Patrik might be dead.
Probably ulti in. Handshake still hits. Well played by Alvaro. An extra root now coming in. But Patrik should just fall. Barrier, decent amount of damage with the bailout there. No hope of finishing the kill. Does manage to proc the bailout, but that's just about it. Supa quickly getting the reset.
Yeah, it's a situation where Patrik, in an ideal world, he throws the hail of arrows, dies, and then the hail of arrows can finish up the kill so that he then doesn't trigger the passive. But unfortunately, that was a little too difficult to execute. The timing would have been way too specific. So Supa and Alvaro end up finding a pick on the bot side of the map. Gold lead, nothing too significant for the time being, as objectives are going to be traded. Overall, a pretty steadfast and even early game, even though KOI find themselves with a kill lead.
Kill lead solid. Adam in the 1v1 at least for now, building a pretty decent advantage for himself. Doesn't always matter against the Rumble, as we've seen later stages of the game. That equalizer is still super relevant, but definitely hurts for Rogue that they lost a lot of that power they had on the bottom side. Trick was able to get the grubs. Now should be able to take the red as well. So nice little bit of added bonus as there's some movement towards the top side. I think it is just Larssen picking up some honey fruit. As you can see, Adam, as good as he is at range, it's still tough to go all in against Myrwn.
They would just ran at him. The damage that he was able to dish out thanks to the overheat was absolutely bonkers, and Adam forced to use his ultimate in response. Myrwn decided not to overchase, realizing that he wouldn't have support from his jungler. So instead, he's just happy to force Adam back, clear out the rest of his wave and likely back himself, as the first item of the game now completed for Adam with the Hex, Luden's Companion, being finished off.
It does look like the Hextech revolver, though.
Yeah.
It does. I see why that's what came into your mind.
All right. Yep, the Luden's Echo, and then they merged, and then they become Luden's Companion.
Which, yeah, I guess makes sense that it's a gun. We had too many staffs, you know?
Yeah.
With the departure of Gun Blade, we needed at least one gun added back in.
True. Luden's Companion. It's weird that it's a pistol, though.
Oh yeah, also weird that a pistol is an AP item. Also, all of our champions with guns are 80 carries, and they all buy swords. There's a lot of things that don't make sense.
Yeah. Do you think you reload it? Do you think it just reloads itself? So why does that have a sight on it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Not to say that like an iron sight wouldn't make sense. I'm thinking too hard about this. Anyway.
All right, I played Pro Mod in the early 2000s.
How did you know?
You've talked about it a lot.
I don't think that's true.
It's come up on numerous occasions.
Have you heard about the Ghost team that I was in?
No.
Yeah, they were good.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that a Pro Mod thing? I don't know.
Yeah, Pro Mod.
I was a console kid. We didn't get Pro Mod, bro. It was a struggle. It was a dark time.
That's where I started. It was COD on the PlayStation. And then I elevated, as the gamer PC players would say.
Yeah. To League of Legends, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, that one didn't go as well for me.
No. Well, I mean, you got it. I don't know what you got.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was more thinking about the pro player element. Yeah, I will admit, like. Yeah.
Who did you famously lose to in the UK?
No. I solo killed Power of Evil.
There you go.
Yeah. I cheesed it. It was really funny.
Yeah. Trick beat Power of Evil, so there's your like 7 degrees of separation in 2016.
Yeah. I also used to regularly get beaten by Naafiri and Maxtor in many UK tournaments.
People don't even know who that is. We're just referencing
Naafiri and Maxtor?
People don't even know.
I suppose that's true.
It's been years.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Naafiri's most recent contribution to League as a whole, I think, was coaching Broken Blade, which I don't know if that's still on.
That's not fair. He made a finals at Origin.
No, most recent.
Oh, okay. Also, didn't he win NA, or did he?
Most recent. No, most recently he coached Broken Blade. Well, I said most recent, dude. What are you trying to make?
Sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, use the right words. All right, Adam. The word he's looking for is please no. Elyoya. It'll work. Elyoya. Not able to find that one.
Oh, Jojo now looking for a bit of a play himself, but I don't think he's going to find much.
Shockwave.
Shockwave in response. Just trying to chip away at the HP there of Jojo. He
Malrang
takes
on the way in.
about 50% of his HP away. Dragon's still a minute away, though. So they have the Shockwave available for it.
Probably nice to have. Leandry's completed for Jojopyun, so his poke is doing decently well. So you freeze frames there for a second. Alvaro, handshake onto Patrik. Definitely nice to have. Again, the weaknesses of the composition's highlighted, though. The initial piece of CC does not really have any follow-up unless Jojo wanted to try and slide and glide his way in there.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating that like all of the engage in the whole game is pretty much determined by Trick, or if Jojo's really feeling it. You know, maybe if you can find a really juicy slide and glide, that could be one way to start a fight. But it's basically, KOI would like, sure, Trick, go ahead, engage onto us. We love that. Our Renata will get loads of value. Our Kalista can free hit. We kill the front line. We chase you down. We win. Whereas Rogue is kind of like, well, we've got Lethality Varus, we've got Orianna, we can just poke at you. Aurora, really good poke as well. We can chip away at you.
It's like in a game of tag where there's a table and you're both just running around the table.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And at any point, Trick can run over the table.
Yeah, he's the only person who can jump over the table.
Yeah.
But both sides are kind of waiting on the other person to jump over the table.
Kinda, yeah.
Neither one of them are agile enough to be the person who does the, you know, the pro tag table jump.
Pretty much. But also they need an objective to do it over. And speaking of, here it is.
Perfect table to run around.
Here we go.
MKOI, set up. Set up, they have pressure as well. You're going to see a TP in from Larssen. Shockwave is available. 3K. Elyoya's got it low alongside having the closest fight. Patrik's ulti not connecting. Alvaro able to mark. Decent damage down, but Trick has zoned them away completely. They can't just take the objective, but it seems like they want the fight. Poke from Patrik hurts.
Well, the Renata ultimate was used so early onto Varus, which meant that it was now way easier for Rogue to find and engage.
Myrwn stepping up though. They see the TP coming in top lane. They think they have a man advantage. Flash forward with the handshake. Trick now using his ulti. Patrik going to be forced to flash over the wall. Fates call in. Malrang going to get taken down. Supa grabbing that one. So Elyoya looks for the reset. Patrik trying to live as long as he can. Elyoya not confident enough to go for the dive. So they will grab some exit kills.
On the resets of Rogue is when KOI find a nice angle to attack. Adam is TPing away. Larssen going back to base. And so there was an opportunity there. In fact, I think that was the other way around. In any case, the point is that KOI found a nice pick. Unfortunately, there's not really much for them to convert it into because they still end up losing the Drake. They get the pick onto Malrang, and they force all the summoners out from Patrik, so there could be another angle. But again, like that Dragon was a great example of how awkward it can be. But why that Renata ultimate is also extremely important. If it's unavailable, then you're very reliant on the Azir ultimate to act as that disengage tool.
Alvaro.
Just a cheeky Hex Flash.
I mean, just hitting every handshake. Malrang. Tether won't complete. Jojopyun able to just glide away. And now we wait for the next objective as a catalyst to force a fight. But setups on the objective is big, and it feels like wave control has been in favor of MKOI, although Myrwn's going to be in trouble here. Larssen does have Shockwave. Shockwave pullback. Auto attacks coming in. I take it back. He's great at soccer. Myrwn down. Larssen solo kill.
I mean, he dribbles the ball between his feet and Myrwn
styles on it, but there's the slide and glide that you were looking for. Patrik trying to zoom out of there, but he's just going to get one pop. Trick now needs to retreat. A bit of a leash for MKOI on this objective.
And that's just a great future investment idea. Getting the summoners out from Patrik earlier on meant that Jojo was super confident making that play. He's very aware that Larssen's not going to be able to join this fight. And so with their numbers, they tried to force a play and they make it happen. I mean, the good news for Rogue, though, is they kept the pressure up top. You'll notice that the top tower was secured. KOI are going to respond by securing the tower in mid, but looks like Rogue are continuing with the push on the top lane.
Confident maybe that they can take Myrwn down if he does show up. He has the equalizer to try and clear the wave. He will use it. But they have grubs.
Looks like they're not. Ooh.
Not quite enough damage. Myrwn going to eat 2 turret shots there, though, for the trouble. They start to retreat. So Rogue maybe a bit overeager on the top side, but Adam moving in. They really want to take Myrwn down. That's the stack up on the queue you were talking about, looking for the knockup. Myrwn now in trouble. Ulti going in from Adam. They want to finish the job. They're berserk. Crucial disengage ult coming in from Alvaro to keep Myrwn standing alongside the bailout, but the tower might still be in trouble, and that's going to be the tier 2 taken down in exchange for the tier 1 at the very least of Rogue, but now it's Supa, who has to be careful in mid lane.
Lots of things are happening all over the map, because you'll notice in the bot lane as well, the Herald is going to be knocked into the tower. Will do a lot less damage than the first after the recent changes, but ultimately it's Rogue not quite being able to find that pick onto Myrwn. The support provided by Alvaro was crucial in order to keep that Rumble alive. But Rogue are more than happy to secure that tower. And for a brief moment, they did sit with the gold lead, but the gold being even, with a lot of it sitting on Adam. Now the responsibility falls on his shoulders to be the big carry for Rogue.
2K gold lead. On this Aurora, you really have to make that difference. Continuing to play to the side lane. Will have the TP up and available shortly. Dragon, minute away.
You know, we had a bit of fun with Jojo in the past about never seeing Anivia before.
That's true.
Do you think the inverse may also be true? Now, of course, Trick is still actively coaching, but
he doesn't know what Naafiri does. I think because
like
I think if he wasn't actively coaching, you could definitely make an argument. He's like, I have no idea what this champion does. But
the idea, you know, like
yeah.
You have an old pro come back into play and they're like, I have no idea.
What does this champ do?
What does it do?
Yeah.
You're telling me when it auto attacks, it doesn't just get lifesteal, it does 7 things? What? It's a Narcissus reference.
Yeah. I appreciate the. Look, man, as an Aphelios enjoyer, I understand. I understand the number of characters needed to explain a thing.
Yeah, imagine a retired AD carry player coming back and then playing against an Aphelios, and they're like, wait, what?
But, okay, I will say that sometimes there are simple things in game that feel simple that do require an immense amount of text to explain.
That's fair. Of course, a Magic the Gathering player would say that.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, is Kalista passive that complicated?
Yeah, but it's also not a lot of text there.
It's a pretty decent amount of text compared to 20% lifesteal.
Okay.
Alvaro pulled out of the circle there because Adam really hurts. Lots of good damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to start off this Dragon contest.
But losing Adam's ult is pretty devastating given that he has a 2k gold lead and they weren't able to finish the kill. They do get the heal, they do get the Fate's Call at the very least.
Remember, Kalista stats make securing Dragons theoretically easier. The stacks are beginning to mount.
Adam, good chunk onto Jojo.
Nice chunk. The poke is good from Rogue.
On just respawn. Redemption to heal up a bit. Ulti is going to connect onto Elyoya, tricking to zone him away, and they're going to take the Drake. Now the Equalizer is laid down. Ulti over the top, but MKOI, they don't have any follow-up. Trick now going to go in. He's caught in the Thunderdome. He doesn't have a flash, so he's forced to stay and fight to the death. He tries to wander in, look for maybe a Shockwave angle. But Rogue get the objective.
So KOI get themselves a pick, and Rogue get themselves the Dragon. Of course, it will cost them the Arakan. With no smite available, this is a very difficult contest. Of course, very few ultimates available as well on the side of Rogue outside of the Shockwave. Means that they're not really interested in trying to fight this fight.
Malrang wanted to be in the area to try and steal at the very least, but you're right. Arakan 6 earlier, so overall, pretty positive for MKOI. The Drake stacking, if it was third Drake, if it was Soul Point, it might have felt a little bit different from Rogue, but only the second Drake does make this a bit rough.
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was more to break down here, but the reality is Trick just kind of threatens Elyoya, knocks him away, and then just secures the smite. The wombo combo idea is there. Patrik flashes early, but yeah, Trick doesn't really have many places left to go thanks to the positioning of the Rumble ultimate. There's also a risk that he kind of just makes the fight worse for his team as well because of the direction that he was pathing. So instead he just says, you know what, I'll just sit in the pit and I will give my life. Still though, a very even game, and again, a surprising performance I would say from Rogue, especially given where we put KOI in the standings. A team that has demonstrated to be clearly within the top 4. You would expect them to be head and shoulders ahead above Rogue, sitting at the bottom of the league, but Rogue putting up a valiant fight.
We're also past the point where it's, you know, what we expected them. They just are top 4.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. Rogue, on the other hand, have certainly had some good games this split, but have never been able to turn that into kind of a meaningful streak. In fact, they seem to be fighting toe-to-toe for the most part. That's a good look. Adam has found Elyoya. Elyoya hurting, though. Adam forced to use the ulti. Alvaro finding a solid combo with the Redemption's coming down. Nice buffer going in. Patrik, though, going to be the one in trouble. Redemption coming out from the opposite side. They're trying to turn it. Jojo, he found the sliding glide. Elyoya looking for the reset, but he's already been popped. Tower set up in the mid lane, and now Rogue are in a tough spot. Jojo starting to rain down some damage. Myrwn there as well. Supa blinking out far, but he kind of wants to support. Patrik looking for the disengage. Laying down a slow. The hail of arrows to help his team retreat back up the river. Trick turning back, hoping to get something else done, but he might have just cost his AD carry his life as well. The blast cone, the last bastion of hope. Patrik out for an extra second, but Myrwn flashing in. Doesn't want to walk face first into this. Knows how much damage the Varus can do. But Patrik in the end will fall. One more rocket seals the deal. MKOI, good fight in the mid lane.
I think that ended up being a 4-for-2 in favor of KOI. I saw the pass from Larssen connecting the Shockwave onto the backline, and I thought that that was going to be a one-team fight for Rogue. It's Adam that starts off by getting chipped away out. Remember that he's a lot of the gold, and he has to use his ultimate defensively. The Rumble ultimate was absolutely massive for Myrwn, with the Renata ultimate following up. The combo was clean. But look at the Shockwave on the back. Great damage onto the backline. Supa's immediately forced back, but as that play is happening, Jojo goes in himself, drops the tower down, gets a beautiful ultimate to connect onto 3 members of Rogue. and at this point it's a 3v3, but it's Rogue that's forced to retreat.
Yeah. And really crucially there, the sidestep on the wind becomes lightning. The W from the Xin that Supa pulled off there keeps him alive, allows him to stay up in this entire fight, making it that much easier for MKOI because they know they can't just go all in onto Myrwn without risking their own lives.
Now, KOI find themselves with a much more sizable lead. Of course, the itemization, when you kind of look at it, Rogue's not in a terrible spot. So you look at the itemization sitting on Larssen, and he's still in a very comfortable spot. A lot of damage available to him. Of course, Trick is now falling a little bit further behind, still working on that second item, but Adam in a great position too. The damage is there for Rogue. They find themselves a little bit behind overall. They just need to find a good fight.
Larssen.
He's the target.
TP going in. Larssen trying to buy as much time as he can, but the dog can just go intangible. Elyoya resetting the aggro. Now it's Adam who's arrived to the fight, trying to finish off Myrwn, looking for a bit more damage. Q back through, trying to style on him. Extra damage now going in, but Elyoya might have bit off more than he can chew. Has to backstep. 1 for 1 so far.
Comes Trick.
Trick on the way in, redemption there as well. The Weirding coming out, extra damage now going down. Elyoya might be in trouble, but it's Supa's been shut down, and it's Elyoya who's on the run. Adam doing a ton of work here, backed up by Trick. Elyoya retreating, bail out there. Alvaro helps secure the escape, but a 2 for 1 in the extended fight.
It's an overforce from KOI as they threaten the dive onto Larssen. They should have just been happy by getting that TP out from Adam, freeing up Jojo to push in the top lane, but they wanted to commit to the kill. They had to spend a lot of resources to get it, and then Adam just bought so much time for his team, stalling things out, chipping away the HP bars, and now it leaves the Dragon exposed along with another tower. Rogue definitely not out of this game yet. As we look back, again, it's at this point you realize, okay, they need to disengage. Maybe the logic is, even if we do disengage, there's the shockwave, it gets used on Myrwn. Nice use of the ultimate to close the gap onto Myrwn to at the very least get a kill for Adam. But again, his priority is buying time. The fact that he's able to proc the electrocute onto Elyoya while he's disengaging, just really great placement of his skills. Sets up for Trick to arrive, the redemption comes down, and KOI, they have nowhere left to go.
Yeah, just used so many of their cooldowns in that initial play. Running out. Obviously tough for Larssen to survive that dive. Nothing he can really do against a champion that has kind of this intangible effect similar to the Fizz or the Vladimir, because the shockwave just so telegraphed. So instead opposite Myrwn. The play works out. The poke from Patrik is tough to deal with. There's no tanky front line here. So these arrows keep connecting. Rogue can just chip away at those life bars. You mentioned it in Champion Select. That said, the pressure, the wave control, MKOI is still much more diligent about pushing out these lanes, so their objective setup has been a bit more favorable.
Myrwn is alive, but it's not an easy objective to secure, at least for Rogue. You still have the Kalista and the Azir, which make it pretty quick. The ulti drops.
Ulti. Jojopyun in the midst of the entire team. Goes golden, buys an extra second. Supa has now slain Patrik in the meantime, but they managed to get Jojo back. Trick back in the middle of the team as well. Oh, you're going to try to finish that one. All the rest of Rogue retreating. 2 for 1 in favor of KOI, giving up Jojo for jungle and AD on the opposing team.
Shockwave is still available for Larssen, which makes the Baron Force a very risky thing to do. Rogue, while they are a man down, they still got the objective that they were looking for.
Adam is also terrifying. He has 3 items. He has the Death Cap. He has the upgraded sword shoes. Supa's trying to get the hell out.
They're going to chip away at this tower. I worry about them overstaying here. Look at Elyoya on the flank. At the very least, he's trying to catch the next wave, but another tower going to be secured for Rogue, so...
TP behind. And KOI want to fight.
They certainly do. Jojo is going to TP up in 10 seconds.
Larssen flashing up. They're just trying to kill Supa before the fight even breaks out. Larssen decent damage. The shockwave, he just flashes over and it completely whiffs. Now fire rains from the sky. Adam caught out as well. It's a disaster.
And Rogue overstep. We talked about them overstaying their welcome. The TP's come through. Jojo now back on the map. He sets his sights on a Patrik.
Patrik pushed back. Will now just fall. Beautifully played by Supa, flashing over the shockwave to extend the fight. And now MKOI set up to take the Baron.
Yeah, so Rogue, even though they ended up losing the fight, they got the mid tower, but going for the second one is where they overreached, allowing KOI to get back out onto the map, punish Rogue for their positioning, and convert it into a tower, some kills, and the Baron.
Nothing much more to add. We can take a look at the play here.
So it's a good Rumble ultimate, but the Wombo combo is now used. So a lot of damage becomes unavailable, and Nice spread out from Rogue, making it difficult for Jojo to find a good target to ulti. He connects onto Patrik, but it ends up just being a 1-for-1 as Jojo loses life as well. Flash away from Alvaro, Trick ends up dropping, and you think at this point, oh, maybe they can do the Baron, but again, the Shockwave is still available. Now, KOI set their sights on the enemy jungle. Rogue see this as an opportunity to push more, but they've overstepped at this point. The TPs are coming through, they're being collapsed on, and where do they have left to go? Instead, they chase down onto Supa, thinking that maybe they can get a kill, but as you rightly said, a nice flash from Supa to avoid the Shockwave means that it ends up just being another 2 kills and the Baron.
Easy pickups. Rogue trying to hold on to defense of their own jungle. Larssen, the sole member, sent to protect this top side tower. So hard for him to fight this Naafiri. So one tower will fall. Relatively uncontested. MKOI have a mid wave and bot wave to play with as well. Just about the worst case scenario for Rogue. See if their wave clear will help them here. But Adam and Malrang using a man advantage mid to try to just bully Myrwn away. No one attending the bot wave from MKOI, so perhaps they can keep this inhibitor standing.
KOI now spreading across all 3 lanes. Jojo using the cannon minion to chip away at the inhibitor. Jojo
really wants to slide and glide. He will push one. It's just Trick who immediately uses the ulti. Patrik taking a bit more time, trying to lay down a bit more damage. Jojo still standing, however. Trick going berserk, and in goes Adam. Massive damage coming out from the rabbit in the mid lane. MKOI. An inhibitor, but it's going to cost them 2 lives.
The Rogue Shockwave plus Adam ulti combo comes through. They're able to burst down 2 members of KOI and force them to disengage. They largely protect most of their base, and crucially, the dragon is available. I wonder if Rogue can get back out on the map quickly enough to contest it. 7 seconds until it actually respawns. Elyoya is making a beeline towards it, but with the numbers advantage and no TP available on Jojo, this could be solved for Rogue.
If Rogue can find this, this is the start of them making a comeback in the game. Elyoya moving in. Rogue collapsing. Myrwn, great equalizer.
Goes wide, honestly. Doesn't do that much damage.
And no immediate fall makes it so hard for it to stick. Elyoya trying to get in. Goes intangible. Steals Infernal. Walks out, but Trick can't he find the follow-up play. Elyoya just too fast. And Rogue not getting that just is so massive. They're in a huge deficit. Midwave still barreling down. Super's unattended in the mid lane. Elyoya and MKOI just ushering the next waves in.
An unfortunate misplay there from Trick as he gets outsmited by Elyoya. The soul is denied, and KOI pick up right where they left off. The Baron is about to fall off, so their siege becomes a lot weaker. It looks like they're not interested in leaving this base alone.
Using ulti onto Myrwn. Ulti from Alvaro, ultimately not super effective. Shockwave connects onto Supa. Instantly he goes down. Now they're trying to turn it back. Redemption of their own, a little bit too late for the side of MKOI, but they might have enough power to bring this one home anyway. Adam still holding onto his ult. They will lose at least 1 inhibitor here. Can't afford to gamble on a play. Need to get those health bars back up. MKOI still very much in control in the driver's seat despite losing Supa. But Adam fishing, desperate to find these plays.
I think KOI need to back away though. They've overstayed their welcome and the resets are coming through from Rogue. The problem for KOI is, given how the last fight played out, they have no Barons left. They have to wait 2 more minutes for that objective to spawn, and that's the window the Rogue will leverage to try and turn this game around. The deficit is still significant. The death cap will be completed very soon by Jojo. Adam and Larssen are already the carries to watch, as if they land their damage onto the right targets, there are ways in which Rogue can turn these fights in their favor.
But otherwise, MKOI, and they do lack some engage. If they had more CC, this would be a very different game. MKOI should just win. Because the reason the gold looks close is because Adam is so far ahead of Myrwn. Every other role is super far behind in terms of individual gold difference.
The crazy thing is Myrwn isn't even that weak. He's even ahead in XP. Level 17 on the Rumble. Dragon's still 3 minutes away. You'll notice that KOI is basically dividing up around the map, trying to funnel what farm they can into the 3 members as it continues to push towards Rogue, stealing away the jungle camps as well, to both limit Trix's golden experience while also taking it for themselves. Just keep that pressure up, keep Rogue inside their base, and wait for this neutral to spawn. 1 minute, 10 seconds on the Baron. And we'll see how things play out, as Rogue will definitely want to try and interrupt that play.
Good news for Rogue is its topside inhibitor down, so they can push through that top lane if they want, but it might be Trick caught out here. Equalizer goes down, but again, there's no real follow-up CC, so Trick's just going to wait out the duration before walking back into the jungle.
The cooldown this late into the game, it's like, I can check it, she's 44 seconds.
Yeah.
So he's just almost using it off cooldown.
Yeah, you just see, you know? Maybe someone gets caught up.
Good control of Rogue's jungle though, coming through from KOI. As the Baron draws ever closer, Malrang doing his best to get what vision he can. He sees very little of the pit itself, but at least they have an entrance into their own jungle without any nasty surprises lying in wait.
Definitely true. Patrik, though, is lagging behind a bit in terms of damage. We haven't really had the luxury of getting a lot of this poke down before fights. But again, you highlighted it really is as simple as just keep your eyes out for Larssen, Shockwave, and really whatever Adam does in a fight. Those are the strongest members. Those are the members who have to perform if Rogue want to take us to a game 3.
Looking up around the top tri-brush, chip damage coming down from both sides. It's landing from the side of KOI. You can see Adam going,
Wave unattended. They're going to turn back onto Jojo. Jojo goes golden. In the meantime, they're trying to disengage. Excellent combination with the equalizer. The combo finally coming down. Myrwn off to the backside. Already Trick has gone down. Malrang desperate to flash forward, but he can barely keep the tether standing. Elyoya resetting now, looking to find a kill onto Patrik. A little bit more damage going for the bars, but it's just not enough. Adam running. Larssen will fall. It's just going to take another second. Triple kill coming through. Myrwn to finish it off. An ace for MKOI as they look to close this one out 2-0.
a single team fight was all it took as MKOI assert their dominance in the final fight of the regular season. They're looking to close things out in a clean 2-0 fashion.
And overall, they consistently traded up across both games, while Rogue kept some fights close. MKOI always holding on to that lead just about the entire time. The team finishing top 4. We'll see who their opponent is in the first round of playoffs, and for Rogue, the last time we'll see them until summer. So commiserations, but a solid way to end the split for MKOI. And good to see Trick, if only briefly.
Yeah, I think he had a very solid game, all things considered. Him and Malrang were fun to watch. But KOI, yeah, they do lock in that third place spot. And it doesn't really affect much, kind of whoever gets chosen between the two of them from KC is kind of out of their hands. But of course, you can vote for your player of the series. You can vote now at LEC on X, Elyoya, Jojopyun, or Supa. I think are all great options. But huge credit to the team. A third place finish for this regular season. I think they're going to be pretty happy with that. I know they have some frustrations with some of their losses against the top teams, which happened at the very start of the split.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they had a very good season overall. They've been a joy to watch, and I'm excited to see if they can level up for playoffs, as our top 4 is looking rather fierce.